Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Gotlegs. As you probably can hear from my voice, I'm not feeling entirely well. It seems to be that 2017 just isn't my year in terms of illness. I feel that I've had my share of illness this year and I just can't seem to shake it off. So a couple of weeks ago, I started having a sore throat and also felt sick a couple of days afterwards. But then I got back into the swing of things. But every third day or something like that, I would wake up with a sore throat. That would gradually pass throughout the day, but it just made me feel like I wasn't really feeling it the various days. So a couple of days ago again, I woke up with a really sore throat and just lasted throughout the day. So instead of just powering through, which I've done so far, I've not really missed any training. But instead of just forcing myself through the training, I decided to actually take this weekend off in terms or in the hope that I'll be able to shake it more permanently. I'm usually a person that gets sick ever so often, but the last couple of months have just been insane in regards of illness. And it's not like I've been really ill, it's just been like minor stuff that has surfaced every once in a while. But it just puts a strain on anything. Everything is hard actually to wrap your head around. Training is hard to actually eat as you're supposed to, and not just eat all the things that you really want to eat instead. So hopefully I'll be able to shake it off now with these couple of days off and not doing outside riding, and then I just have to do whatever I can. It's not like that I don't do my vitamins or anything like that. I guess that's ever since our son started in daycare, he just brings home a lot more germs than my body can live with. So I'm not the strongest of persons in terms of my immune system, and just having this little bastard come home with all kinds of bacteria just isn't doing me any well. So if any of you have any good tips to improving my immune system, let me know, because I really need it. I really want to get my structured training done and hopefully be able to train properly again. Another thing that has kept me from training like really structured is that my girlfriend started working again, and she works in an amusement park, and they have a really busy schedule throughout this Christmas, and then from January 1st until about the 1st of April, she's off. So until January 1st, I have some days at home where I'm alone with our son, and I also have the responsibility of picking him up from daycare. And as long as we live in this apartment, there's only 3 weeks until we get the keys to the house. But I just can't justify getting up early on a regular weekday and start riding, even though I have the Tax Neo and everything like that. It just makes too much noise, and I don't want to wake them up. And since our apartment is too small, I can't really be far away enough from them. So until we get into the house, I'll just have to stick it out and hopefully get some training done before I pick him up. But sometimes it's just not possible with my work and all that. So hopefully everything will be better as soon as we get the house and we move in there, and also when I don't have to pick him up every day. And so hopefully that'll give me some much needed training. But then again, this little break hasn't bothered me as much. We've had really windy days the last couple of 3 or 4 days, I think it was. It actually started on Tuesday. It started like really picking up wind, and if you watch the weather report, they just basically said, well, it won't be there until Thursday. So me and my girlfriend was really thinking, wow, if this isn't even the top of it, what's gonna happen? But it's panned out pretty good. But yesterday was a really windy day, so it didn't bother me too much that I wasn't out riding. But yeah, I need to get well and hopefully pick up the training again. One of the things that I have planned as soon as I get back to training is actually the much dreaded FTP test. And I've seen various or different vlogs lately that has picked up the subject of FTP testing, and I thought I'd give my take on it because I've done it for a while now and I've changed my beliefs on the whole FTP thing. So when I started riding, I thought it was really important that you check your FTP ever so often. So ideally, I thought you had to check it or test it every month or so, just to make sure that you were still making progress. But I came to the conclusion that you really didn't need it, because if you improve your FTP by, let's say, 5 or 6 watts every month, well, your zones won't be that much different from increasing 5 or 6 watts. It'll just move it 5 or 6 watts and you're still pretty much within the range when you're training. The only thing that you can say is that you've improved 5 to 6 watts. And having an FTP of 270 versus 276 can probably be better having a 276, and especially when you're bragging to your friends. But in terms of your fitness, it hasn't really changed that much. So I've more or less decided that when I start my indoor riding, I do an FTP test after a couple of weeks. I have a rough estimate of where my FTP is, but I have to get used to riding indoors. I have to get used to sitting on the trainer, sitting very steadily on the bike and not moving about and not having the entire body working, because I'm not using my balance that much when I'm on the indoor trainer compared to when I'm outdoors. So it's a different pattern that you actually ride when you're on the indoor trainer. So I have to get used to that, and I also have to get used to my body heating up and not being able to get off with the warmth. So I do about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month of indoor training before I actually sit down and have my FTP test. And then that basically sets the mark for the indoor season. I probably will do like 1 or 2 tests throughout the winter period. Like if I do one December 1st, I'll do one again February 1st, just to see how it has evolved. Hopefully finish it off with an FTP test, but that's not so crucial. Just to see how has it developed, has I actually improved. And then when I start the outdoor season, the same thing happens. I have to get used to riding outdoors. I have to get used to riding like a 20-minute interval, because if I've only done 3-minute intervals, it's hard actually doing a 20-minute interval. So getting used to doing the longer efforts, take a test, and then probably revisit that test when you hit the summer break, and then hopefully have one at the end of the season as well, just to see what your level is at the end of the season. So I'm not into like overly testing, like every 2 months you have to test, or every 6 weeks, or whatever you have. You know, your changes will probably be subtle, unless you're an absolute beginner. There can be an advantage to testing maybe every 6 weeks, because your FTP will rapidly increase. But if you've been riding for a couple of years, you won't be increasing your FTP by 20 after a month of racing or after a month of training. So there's no really need to do that, but you can do it every 2 or 3 months if you want to, but there's no real need to it. Also, when you're out riding, you get a sense of, oh right, my sweet spot intervals are getting easier, so I'll just add a bit of watts to it, and you just change it as you go along. You don't need to have a specific number that you listen that much to. So that's basically my take on the whole FTP thing. And also when testing, I like to do the 20-minute effort. I usually do like a 5-minute gradual increase to my to the level where I think I need to be throughout the 20-minute test. And then I'll do like a 5 or 10-minute cool down, and then do the test. And basically just a 20-minute all-out effort. Pretty much, not that much to it, I guess. But the thing with doing FTP tests is that they're mentally tough, even though they're only 20 minutes. So you need to like set short goals in it. So instead of going full gas from the get-go, start out by doing maybe 30 seconds or so where you just get into the rhythm of things, and then you'll settle down a bit and be a bit under your target. So maybe 10 or 15 watts below what you actually have to, and then you gradually increase that throughout the 5 minutes. So after the 5 minutes, you actually just revisit your whole plan to see, all right, I'm gonna do it well. Am I able to keep up these watts? And then you'll just gradually increase or decrease. And when you reach the final 5 minutes, it's basically just survival. Close your eyes, go as hard as you can. I've previously cheated a bit, I've come to notice. I just thought you had to give everything you had, and if you were able to put out 600 watts in the end, you'll, well, just do that. But given that I have a lot of power for shorter intervals, I could actually keep a pretty steady pace throughout the test and then just hammer it in the end. So the last 2 minutes or so, I could really put out some very decent watts, and I actually been able to not really sprint but accelerate throughout the last 30 seconds or so. So the idea is that you actually have to put out as steady an effort as possible. So you shouldn't feel that you have that extra to give in the end. Of course, you can be able to push 400, 500 watts in the end, but you shouldn't be able to push 700 or 800 watts. So giving it a pretty steady effort throughout, making sure that you don't cook yourself in the first 5 minutes, and just hold on. So that was a short little update from me and my take on FTP testing. I hope to be back on the saddle next week, actually. Also, I just started my my weight training once again after my little injury, and it went pretty good. I didn't feel that I'd lost that much power, but I was sore afterwards. I still am when I'm coughing or sneezing. I can feel my abs picking up, and I went 3 days before I could really walk proper again. My hamstrings were just dead. So I'm back to that routine now. Hopefully I'll have some sessions in the upcoming week and also on the bike. And then the upcoming weekend, I'll hopefully get out both Saturday and Sunday and do some good stuff. And hopefully also have an FTP test. And hopefully get rid of the sore throat. So that's a lot of hope for. So thanks for watching once again. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, watch the other videos, and until next time, bye.